What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 11, and we started today's episode off here playing our final game of November, and I have to say we've made a really bright start to the season so far. You know, only one defeat all season long, that was away against City, but of course we didn't win either of our last two games against Leicester and Manchester United respectively. We needed the stoppage time equaliser in the former of those games, so coming to the first game of today's episode here, an away trip to Villa Park, we really wanted to return to winning ways, and the first chance of the game would fall very early on as well in the opening couple of minutes. Aston Villa get to play down the right hand side after a give it away with Barami. Carlos Heel finds Sanchez, who whips it in towards Abdi, our former player. He plays it back towards Crespo here, but as the build up continues, we're just containing Aston Villa. But one thing I found really difficult this year is to try and get the ball off Aston Villa, even when I seem to have another player on the pitch helping me out possibly. But as Hutton gets onto the ball and plays it inside, eventually Villa keep working away inside. Abdi gets onto the ball here, keeps control of it, crosses to the far post, picks out Rudy Gusted, and Gusted makes it Aston Villa 1, Watford 0. So 5 minutes in, Aston Villa already have the lead in this game, but the fact of the matter is you may have noticed it, you may not have noticed it. I don't think this goal should have stood because there was an extra man on the pitch, and it was just absolutely ridiculous because as the game was going on, I was distracted a little bit by the fact that there was a steward walking on the pitch by the touchline, almost getting involved in the play when Alan Hutton receives the ball. I mean, this is just ridiculous. Like, there's a steward on the pitch. I mean, you know, I know we go on about EA's game and how many bugs it has and everything, but this is just basic stuff. You know, there is a steward on the pitch. I mean, look, what's he doing? He's just walking along the touchline. I mean, if there was an award for the least amount of care given in the world, you know, this guy would definitely be a contender for it. I mean, seriously, he's just walking casually on the touchline, inside the touchline, you know, on the pitch, basically, whilst the game is going on, almost gets involved in the Aston Villa build-up there, and it results in a goal for Aston Villa, but that was just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I'm not going to blame the goal on that, obviously, but I certainly was distracted a little bit. Rudy Gusted certainly wasn't distracted, though. He heads the ball in and makes it Aston Villa 1, Watford 0. Sanchez went pretty close to giving Aston Villa their second goal of the game there, but that shot goes just wide the post and behind, and in the 16th minute, another good chance for us here as we get ourselves forward. Troy Deeney finds Bertrand Traore down the right-hand side, cuts inside to shoot with the left foot, but sadly it hits the post, and Aston Villa get the ball away. So first real chance for us, but it was still 1-0. In the 30th minute, another good chance for Aston Villa here, and Marvey goes down the left-hand side and crosses the ball into the centre, picks out our former player Abdi, but the header goes wide of the post and behind for a goal kick. But a really frantic beginning to this game. In the 35th minute, yet another chance for Aston Villa, who were piling the pressure on early here. Carlos Heel gets inside and shoots, but Jack Butland denies him at his near post and gets the ball behind for a corner. So still 1-0, but Villa in this game, you know, right now they're sitting in the relegation zone, but, you know, in this game they had not made a start like they're a relegation threatened side. Butland had to make another great save there to keep it at 1-0. They were piling on the pressure in the first half, going in search of a second goal. From this corner, Scott Sinclair crosses the ball in, Butland punches the ball up in the air, and eventually Villa get it back into the box once again. Just couldn't get the ball off them in this game and couldn't get the ball clear. Mika Richards plays it back towards his teammate, back to Richards, inside towards his teammate. Eventually it comes to the far post. I failed to get away with Berghaus. Gusted goes for his second goal of the game, and again we have Jack Butland to thank for another big save. So at half time, look at those stats. 63% possession for Aston Villa, 9 shots in the first half and 4 of which were on target, and of course the 1 goal for them as well. But in the second half we needed to change things up. We need to look a lot more brighter and a lot more adventurous when going forward. Had a good chance there, but the goalkeeper made a really good save, and from the corner it's crossed into the centre. The header is warm, but it goes wide of the post from Proddle, I think it was, and behind for another corner. So still 1-0 after the deflection, and from the corner again Ibarbo crosses the ball in. Once again we win the header, this time through Ruben Loftus-Cheek, but it goes wide of the post and behind for a goal kick. So still 1-0 to the home side. In the second half we have made a brighter start, but Villa were still going in search of a second goal, and Marvy's shot here hits the post in the 76th minute, and eventually we get the ball away. So still Villa going in search of the second goal, despite the fact we didn't allow we were going to score in 180 minutes worth of play, let alone 90, but it was still 1-0. Then the 85th minute, Nyom gets on the ball down the right hand side here, plays it through towards Bertrand Traore. Traore whips in a first time cross to the centre, picks out Obiolare, and he heads it past the goalkeeper and makes it Aston Villa 1, Watford 1, with just under 4 minutes on the clock of normal time to play. He comes off the bench and scores to make it 1-1 here as he grabs his first Premier League goal for Watford. So delighted with that. Great cross by Traore, wonderful header by the giant Belgian, and it is his first goal in the Premier League. Scored a couple in the Capital One Cup, scores here in the Premier League for the first time, and he does rescue us a point as well. So absolutely delighted about that. This guy's got to be the new super sub, I'm telling you. But still, Aston Villa 1, Watford 1. Delighted to get a point. The fact of the matter is, in the second half, Villa didn't do too much to improve on what was a great first half for them, but even either way, we still didn't play well enough in that game to get anything from it, but we did. We got ourselves a point. Very fortunate one at that. I really don't think we deserved it, but either way, it still does mean that the unbeaten run continues. Still haven't lost a game since that game at the end of August to Manchester City. So, you know, positives, don't get me wrong, not a great performance, but we're still managing to pick up those points. And I think that's a big help for us, you know, don't get me wrong, because, you know, we want to play well, we want to play good, of course, but, you know, just making sure that we get those points is the most important thing. And even if we have to, you know, scrape them, basically, like in that game, I'd still take them, you know, I still want those points, you know, as much as good dominating performances are, you want to pick up those points. And thankfully, despite our last 3 games being draws, despite not playing very well in any of the 3 games, really, probably deserved to lose all 3 in all honesty, we still picked up 3 points for those 3 draws, and I guess that is better than 0 points out of those 3 games. But still, as you can see by the league table, 7th place right now, 7th place after 14 games. Very bright start. Capital One Cup, we've been joining the quarterfinals as well against Cardiff City, so taking on the championship side. I did say the cups aren't really that important for me, but a good cup run with Watford could be good in the first season. Into the quarterfinals and taking on the championship side, maybe it's time to start taking this competition a little bit more seriously, but we'll have to wait and see. Still following out, we have a look at the squad report as well. You can see how the players are currently doing. Once again, I mentioned in the last episode, but I'll say it again, thank you for the advice on training, and also thank you for the advice on the Scout Future Stars training as well. In the last episode, I asked about the Scout Future Star, and it said you guys said that you can train them this year in a player training feature, so that's what I might do with Marco Ryan Tales, I can pronounce his surname. Might put him into the player training feature alongside Ruben Loftus-Cheek and whoever else, and give him some development. So yeah, thank you for letting me know about the Scout Future Star, and apparently there's no May boost this year, so I might have to promote him a little bit earlier, but either way, we'll wait and see how he develops, and there you go. Still, look at the squad report regardless. You can see how the players are currently getting on in the team. I'm really liking the progression of some of the young players here, particularly, of course, Loftus-Cheek, looking very, very good already in this season, and, you know, I'm liking this Watford team, you know, I really am, despite the fact we had no wins in the last 3 games, really am liking this Watford team, and I'm building a good side for the future as well. The first season is all about laying the groundwork for future seasons, you know, the first season's about bringing in those young players, you know, getting them into the first team, like we've done with players like Riedewald, and of course Loftus-Cheek being the headline one as well, Bertrand Traore, Jack Butland as well, getting those young players in with good potential, putting them straight in the first team, and hoping they'll develop right from the beginning. That's exactly what's happening right now, and I'm liking this Watford side. Still, we take on Norwich for the second game of today's episode here, the second and final one of today's episode. Norwich, just like Watford, a newly promoted side to the Premier League, so taking on Alex Neil's side here at Vicarage Road. First chance fell there, but Butler made a good save and kept it at 0-0, but we would open the scoring here with Troy Deeney getting another goal for us in the 29th minute and making it Watford 1, Norwich 0. All the attention so far, I've been reading the comments, is mainly falling on Loftus-Cheek, but you can't understate how important this guy has been to the beginning of our season as well. Troy Deeney bags another goal, and our skipper right now is just on fire. That is now his 8th goal in the Barclays Premier League so far, and he opens the scoring here. What a beginning this guy has made to our season in the Premier League. So Watford 1, Norwich 0. That was it really for the uneventful first half, but in the second half here, a good chance 8 minutes after the restart as Loftus-Cheek gets on the ball and finds Barami. Slides inside towards Troy Deeney, looking for his second goal of the game, but sadly John Ruddy makes a really good save, and eventually he kicks the ball long as well after it comes back to him. So good stop there by John Ruddy, who was actually a transfer target for me with Watford, instead went with Butland, but still good save there, and it is still 1-0. But from Ruddy's kick out, we get the ball back again here and try and retain possession as much as possible. Lost the possession battle way too many games this season already, so we want to try and get it back in our favour. But as Deeney gets on the ball here, he finds Etienne Capoue. Capoue slides it through towards Victor Barbo, stops the ball, chips it towards Capoue, and how about this for a volley from Etienne Capoue? Absolutely fantastic from Watford's record signing. He runs all the way to the bench to celebrate with Belkalem. It is a fantastic volley from Capoue, and the reason he's celebrating it so much is because that is an unlikely type of goal from him. He's a holding midfielder, and usually he just sits back, doesn't really get involved in the build-up for the play too much. When he starts to build up off, it doesn't really get involved and gets too many assists or goals or anything, but this volley by Etienne Capoue was absolutely fantastic. Lovely chip by Ibarbo. He's under pressure here, Capoue. As you can see, he has to get his volley away really quickly, and he does. What a strike that is, right into the top corner. No chance for John Ruddy, and you can see why he wanted to celebrate it so much. Fantastic goal by Etienne Capoue. I said Loftus-Cheek's goal is definitely a contender for goal of the season. Don't think this one was better, but it's still a really, really good volley, and Capoue gets his second goal of the season. So the former Spurs man doubles our advantage, and it's Watford 2, Norwich 0, and we look on course for our first win since the West Ham game a few games ago. One of the final chances would fall here. Loftus-Cheek gets onto the ball, takes it round Yusuf Malumbu, and, you know, I'm loving this guy already, because what I like about him is that he can play any position down the spine of the team. I'm sure he could play centre-back, I'm sure he could play centre-forward. He's a big man at 6'3", yet he's got so much poise, so much skill, so much composure on the ball. Look at the way he just dances past Yusuf Malumbu there. It's poor defending, don't get me wrong, by the former West Brom man, but the touch of class there by Loftus-Cheek was wonderful. Just lovely little jink to get past him, and a cushioned side foot finish into the back of the net as well. Makes it Watford 3, Norwich 0. So Deeney, like I said, deserves a lot of praise, but of course the main attention is falling on this guy. No real surprise. It's his 6th goal already in the Premier League from a central midfield possession. What a start this guy's having, and Ruben Loftus-Cheek puts the icing on the cherry on the cake, as I would say, as he makes it Watford 3, Norwich 0. So 3-0 to Watford, that was the final score. Great to return to winning ways. It was a really clinical game as well. In this game here, we didn't have too many chances, we didn't have too many opportunities, but we controlled this game from the beginning. Despite Norwich having a teensy tiny bit more possession, we controlled the game right from the off, felt we'd get the win, and we did. Really good performance, and great to notch up our first win since the game against West Ham. That does end the episode, guys, so thank you very much for watching. Really hope you have enjoyed it. If you enjoyed today's episode of Career Mode, then please do leave a like, so it's much appreciated, and it really does help my channel out, and I'll see you for another episode of Career Mode very soon.